All right, so jumping right into it, if you are preparing for the UPSC exams, well, then you know that staying on top of current events is absolutely key.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And that is what we are here to do today.
That's right.
It's March 17th, 2025.
Yeah.
This is part one
Part one.
of our daily deep dive into all the essential current affairs.
Okay.
We've got a lot to cover today, so let's not waste any time. And yes, some of what we'll go over might sound a little familiar.
Right.
But consider that, targeted revision.
Absolutely. Repetition is key.
Exactly.
When it comes to the UPSC.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to be, taking a deep dive into some crucial developments in science, national security, international relations, and of course the economy.
Sound good.
Okay. So why don't we just jump right in with this really fascinating medical innovation that I was reading about India's first CAR T-cell therapy.
Okay.
So the clinical trial results were published in The Lancet, and they showed a really encouraging response rate.
Yeah, very promising.
Yeah, it is. So for those who might not be, totally familiar with this or maybe just need a refresher, could you kind of break down like what CAR T-cell therapy actually is?
Sure. So CAR T-cell therapy stands for chimeric antigen receptor T-cell therapy.
Oh, okay.
It's a very groundbreaking approach in immunotherapy.
Wow.
Essentially, we are talking about engineering a patient's own immune cells, their T cells, to recognize and attack cancer cells. And this is done with incredible precision.
Oh, wow. So it's like
giving the immune system a very specialized and powerful weapon.
Yeah, like a specialized weapon.
Exactly.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
So how do scientists actually create these superpowered T cells?
So the process starts by extracting T cells from the patient's blood.
Okay.
And then these T cells are genetically modified in the lab.
In the lab, okay.
And this is where the magic happens. They're equipped with new receptors on their surface called chimeric antigen receptors.
Okay.
Or CARs.
CARs. So
And these CARs are designed to attach to specific proteins that are found on the surface of cancer cells.
Got it.
Once these CAR T cells are multiplied in the lab and they've created a big enough army, they are infused back into the patient.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And hopefully these engineered cells will now be able to identify and destroy cancer cells that might have previously gone undetected by the body's natural defenses.
That is really remarkable. So this therapy is specifically targeted at certain types of blood cancer, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Could you maybe talk about which ones?
So this specific CAR T-cell therapy developed in India has shown a lot of promise for patients with two very aggressive types of B-cell blood cancers.
Okay.
One is acute lymphoblastic leukemia,
Go ahead.
and the other is large B-cell lymphomas.
Okay.
It's particularly significant for patients whose cancer has either relapsed after the initial treatment or hasn't responded to the standard therapies.
Got it. So, the success rate is definitely something to be, excited about. But there is also some mention of potential side effects.
Right.
And some areas of kind of discussion, still ongoing discussion.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
What are kind of the main considerations there?
So that's a very important aspect to understand.
Yeah.
While CAR T-cell therapy offers a lot of potential, it is a powerful intervention and carries some risks.
Of course.
The trials did reveal some serious side effects.
Yeah, I was reading about that.
One notable concern was a severe immune reaction.
Oh, wow.
It's known as cytokine release syndrome or hyperinflammation.
Got it.
And essentially, it's an uncontrolled and damaging surge of the body's immune response.
I see.
Which occurred in some patients, and sadly, it contributed to at least one death.
Oh, wow.
Additionally, a large percentage of patients experience cytopenia.
Okay.
Leading to low red blood cell counts, low platelet counts, and low neutrophil counts.
Okay.
These can lead to fatigue and increased risk of bleeding and infections, respectively,
I see.
requiring careful monitoring and management.
So those sound like some pretty significant hurdles that I'm sure researchers are actively working to overcome.
Yes, definitely.
And then what about the controversies that were mentioned as well?
So the main discussion here, as the source points out, revolves around the potential for secondary cancers arising because of the genetic modification process.
I see.
There's a worry, for example, about the development of T-cell lymphomas in some patients after CAR T-cell therapy.
Right.
This is a very complex area, and it needs long-term follow-up and rigorous research to really understand it and mitigate these risks.
Definitely crucial points to be aware of as this field keeps developing and evolving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit to national security.
Okay.
And there's some news regarding the Assam Rifles.
Right.
And there's this announcement about relocating some of its battalions to Mizoram.
Yes.
So for, those who are preparing for their exams, could you kind of outline why this force is so significant?
So the Assam Rifles is very unique in India's security apparatus.
Okay.
It's one of the central armed police forces.
Okay.
But unlike the others that are only under the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Assam Rifles has this dual control structure.
Oh, interesting.
So administratively, it reports to the MHA.
Okay.
But its operational command is with the Indian Army.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which makes it quite different.
Yeah, very distinct.
Yes. So its main operational role is counterinsurgency operations in the northeast states of India.
Okay.
And it also plays a vital role in border management in certain areas.
Okay.
The recent announcement about relocating the battalions to Mizoram probably reflects strategic changes aimed at improving its deployment for keeping stability and dealing with particular security issues in that region.
That makes sense.
Especially since it borders Myanmar.
Right.
Yeah.
So that dual control structure, that's a very specific thing.
Yeah.
I also noticed that its headquarters are in Shillong.
Yes.
Unlike a lot of other central paramilitary forces that are based in Delhi.
Yes, that's true.
Is there a specific reason for this historically?
So the location of its headquarters in Shillong is very much tied to its history. The Assam Rifles is actually the oldest paramilitary force in India.
Wow.
And its origins can be traced all the way back to 1835.
Wow.
When it was set up by the British as the Kachar Levy.
Okay, the Kachar Levy.
Yeah, and at first its purpose was to protect British interests, the tea estates in Assam from tribal incursions.
Right.
And then over time it changed a lot. It took part in various military campaigns and even served in World War I as part of the British Indian Army.
Wow.
The name officially became Assam Rifles in 1917.
1917, okay.
And given its history and its ongoing focus on keeping the Northeast safe and stable, having its headquarters in the middle of the region in Shillong made and still makes a lot of sense.
Logistically and strategically.
Yes, exactly. Its responsibilities have grown over time from border security to counterinsurgency, which highlights how important it is to the region.
So a history as rich as the region itself.
That's a great way to put it.
Really is.
Yeah.
So let's turn our attention now to the really fascinating world of biodiversity. And there's news about the discovery of a new plant species in Kerala.
That's always exciting.
It is.
Yeah.
It's called Uniala keralensis.
Uniala keralensis.
What can you tell us about this new botanical discovery?
Well, this is great news for anyone interested in environmental science and biodiversity.
For sure.
So Uniala keralensis is part of the Asteraceae family, which is commonly called the daisy or sunflower family.
Oh.
And it's a newly found shrub species that is unique or endemic to Kerala in southwest India.
Wow, so it's only found in Kerala.
Yes, the name keralensis itself means it's from Kerala.
Right.
The researchers describe it as a shrub that's about 1 to 3 meters tall.
Okay.
And it has these lovely light purple florets or small flowers.
So light purple flowers in the Western Ghats.
Yes.
That sounds really beautiful and distinctive.
It is quite striking.
Are there any other key features that could help us identify it?
Yes, there are a few morphological characteristics that set Uniala keralensis apart from its close relatives.
Okay.
It has somewhat larger leaves and longer petioles.
Petioles.
Which is the stalk that connects the leaf to the stem.
Oh, okay.
And it also has fewer lateral veins in its leaves compared to similar species in the Asteraceae family.
Interesting.
So these small differences are really important for botanical classification.
Yeah, for telling them apart.
Exactly.
So it's been observed to flower and fruit between August and April.
Yes.
And it's found in open habitats on the western slopes of the Agasthyamala Biosphere Reserve at elevations between 700 and 1,400 meters.
That's correct.
Wow. Okay, so considering that it was just recently discovered and we know it only exists in a limited area, what is its current conservation status?
So based on the assessment in 2024, using the IUCN Red List criteria, Uniala keralensis is currently categorized as data deficient or DDD.
Data deficient, okay.
And this means we don't have enough information to assess its risk of extinction.
I see.
Based on its distribution and population status.
Okay.
So we need more research to understand its population trends, potential threats, and ecological requirements.
Right.
And this will help us determine its true conservation status and if it needs any protection measures.
Yeah, so more data is definitely needed.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's shift our focus now to the global stage.
Okay.
And talk about the Rasina Dialogue 2025.
Right.
It's often called India's premier conference on geopolitics and geoeconomics.
Yes, it is.
So what makes it so significant?
Well, the Rosina Dialogue has become a really important annual forum for talking about the world's most pressing challenges.
Right.
It's India's main conference on geopolitics and geoeconomics, and it brings together a diverse group of people, including heads of state government, ministers, business leaders, and strategic thinkers.
Wow, it sounds like a very important event.
It is. It's a platform for discussions on a wide range of international issues involving many stakeholders and sectors.
I see.
It's modeled after prestigious events like the Munich Security Conference and the Shangri-La Dialogue. And it shows India's growing role in shaping global conversations.
Right.
It's been held every year in New Delhi since 2016. And it's organized by the Observer Research Foundation in partnership with the Ministry of External Affairs.
Okay, so who are some of the key figures that are expected to attend this year's 2025 edition?
This year's Raising a Dialogue is going to have a lot of important participants. We expect the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Christopher Luxon, to be there. Along with foreign ministers from at least 18 different countries.
Wow.
And there will also be leading voices from global corporations and big experts in international relations.
I see. So that high level and diverse participation really highlights how important the dialogue is becoming.
It really does.
Yeah, as a space for global leaders to, connect and engage on these really critical issues.
Exactly.
Okay, so what is the central theme that will guide all the discussions at Raising a Dialogue 2025?
The main theme for the Raising a Dialogue 2025 is Kala Chakra, People, Peace, Planet. This theme emphasizes how human well-being, the search for peace, and the sustainability of our planet are all interconnected. It suggests that the discussions will probably explore the complicated relationships between these three very important aspects of global challenges and potential solutions.
So a very pertinent theme for where we are in the world right now.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's move on now to a domestic initiative that's focused on nurturing young talent in India.
Right.
And it's called PMYUVA3.
Right.
The Prime Minister's Scheme for Mentoring Young Authors.
Yes.
What are the main objectives of this scheme?
PMYUVA3D stands for the Prime Minister's Scheme for Mentoring Young Authors. And it's a really important initiative by the Ministry of Education.
I see.
The main goals are to encourage reading, writing, and a general love for books and literature among young people in India, particularly those under 30.
Under 30.
The scheme wants to find and mentor young authors who are just starting out, giving them the guidance and support they need to improve their writing skills and add to India's literary scene.
So what specific themes are these young authors being encouraged to explore under this scheme?
So this edition of the scheme has outlined three main themes. They are the contribution of the Indian diaspora in nation building, the Indian knowledge system, and makers of modern India, covering the period from 1950 to 2025. These themes are designed to encourage young minds to delve into India's rich heritage, its global connections through its diaspora, and the people who have played a vital role in shaping modern-day India.
It's great that they're encouraging young people to learn about all those things.
It is.
So how will these young authors be chosen for the mentorship program, and what kind of support can they expect to receive?
The selection process involves young people submitting a detailed book proposal.
A book proposal.
That's around 10,000 words long.
10,000 words.
And it should include a synopsis, a chapter outline, some sample chapters, and a bibliography. A special committee under the National Book Trust, or NBT,
The NBT.
will then assess these proposals and choose a total of 50 young authors who show promise.
50.
It's important to mention that those who have already been part of earlier versions of this scheme, like PMYUVA1 and TUNI, can't apply for this round.
So no repeat participant.
Exactly. So the chosen authors will receive 6 months of intensive mentoring from established writers and mentors.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
They'll also have chances to participate in literary festivals and interact with the wider literary community.
Oh, that's great.
Each chosen author will also get a scholarship of 50,000 euros per month for the whole mentorship period.
That's amazing.
And when they finish their manuscript and the National Book Trust publishes it, the authors will also receive a 10% royalty on sales.
Wow.
So the National Book Trust is the main agency in charge of this scheme.
Okay.
They'll oversee everything from mentoring to publication.
So a really comprehensive program, it sounds like.
It is, and the published books will be promoted as part of the Ik Bharat Shreshtha Bharat initiative.
Okay.
And they'll be translated into other Indian languages to encourage cultural exchange.
It's really wonderful to see such a well-structured approach to supporting and encouraging young writers in India.
It's a fantastic initiative.
All right, so let's talk about a more serious global health issue now.
Okay.
The reported resurgence of tuberculosis, or TB,
Right.
which might be linked to funding issues.
Yes, that's a concern.
So for our listeners, can you give us a brief overview of what TB is and why this reported increase is so worrying?
So tuberculosis is an infectious disease.
Right.
And it's caused by a bacterium called Mycobacterium tuberculosis.
Mycobacterium tuberculosis.
Okay. It mainly affects the lungs, but it can affect other parts of the body too.
Okay.
It's spread through the air when someone with active TB in their lungs coughs, sneezes, speaks, or spits,
Okay.
releasing tiny droplets that have the bacteria.
Right.
While many people might have the TB bacteria, not everyone gets sick with TB.
Okay.
Active TB has symptoms like a cough that lasts 3 weeks or more,
Okay.
chest pain, coughing up blood or sputum,
Right.
feeling tired, losing weight without trying, having a fever, and sweating at night.
Okay, so those are things to look out for.
Definitely. And the good news is TB can be treated and cured
Okay.
with antibiotics.
Okay.
The treatment usually takes about 6 months.
Okay. 6 months.
But the problem is that TB cases are increasing around the world.
Yeah.
And it seems to be linked to cuts in funding for treatment and prevention programs.
Right.
It would lead to more transmission,
Yeah.
undo all the progress we've made in controlling the disease,
All right.
and maybe even lead to drug-resistant forms of TB.
So this is something that we need to keep an eye on.
Absolutely.
And the information also mentioned multi-drug-resistant TB, or MDR TB.
Right.
What makes that type of TB so dangerous?
So multi-drug-resistant TB is a form of TB where the bacteria have become resistant to at least 2 of the most powerful first-line anti-TB drugs.
Okay.
These are isoniazid and rifampicin.
Okay.
This resistance usually happens when TB drugs are misused or mismanaged. For example, when patients don't complete their full course of treatment,
Right.
when healthcare providers prescribe the wrong treatment, or when the quality of the drugs is poor.
Okay, so quality control is really important there.
It is very important.
So MDR TB is much more difficult and expensive to treat than regular TB.
Yes, it is.
And it often requires using less effective and more toxic second-line drugs.
That's right.
And the treatment takes much longer,
Yeah.
usually 18 to 24 months or even more.
Yeah, sometimes even longer.
So the emergence and spread of MDR TB is a big threat to global health security.
It really is.
It makes this reported increase in TB cases even more concerning.
Absolutely.
Definitely a worrying trend for global public health.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift our focus back to environmental issues in India.
Okay.
And specifically, the reports about Tamuladoba Beal drying up in Assam's Pobitora Wildlife Sanctuary.
All right.
So why is this wetland such a vital part of the sanctuary's ecosystem?
Pobitora Wildlife Sanctuary in Assam is a very important protected area. It was created to protect a large population of wildlife. And it's famous for having the highest density of Indian one-horned rhinoceroses in the world.
Wow, that's amazing.
But apart from rhinos, the sanctuary is home to many other animals, like leopards, wild boars, different types of deer, wild buffaloes, and a wide variety of plants.
I like it.
It's known for its wet savanna grasslands.
Okay.
And Tamuladoba Beal is a very important wetland within the sanctuary.
Okay.
It's located near Morrigan.
Near Morrigan. Okay.
And it's been a really crucial habitat for migratory birds.
I see.
Attracting bird watchers and researchers, especially during the winter.
Yeah.
It's also provided a great environment for rhinos and buffaloes and supports all sorts of aquatic life.
Right.
So the fact that it's drying up is a serious ecological issue
Yeah, that's not good.
because it directly affects the biodiversity of the sanctuary.
Yeah.
It could impact the food and water sources for many species and disrupt the whole ecological balance.
All right, so the loss of this key wetland could have really serious consequences for the sanctuary and all the animals and plants that live there.
It could indeed.
Okay, so moving on to another environmental health concern.
Okay.
There was a recent study in Odisha
Right.
that looked at the seasonal pattern of melioidosis.
Yes, I read about that.
So can you tell us what melioidosis is
Sure.
and why understanding its seasonality is so important?
So melioidosis is an infectious disease.
Okay.
It's caused by a bacterium called Burkholderia pseudomallei.
Burkholderia pseudomallei.
Yes, and this bacterium is usually found in contaminated soil and water,
Okay.
especially in tropical and subtropical areas.
Okay.
It's endemic in parts of Southeast Asia, northern Australia, and also some parts of India,
Okay.
like Odisha.
Right.
It's also sometimes called Whitmore's disease.
Oh, okay, Whitmore's disease.
And this recent study that looked at its seasonality in Odisha found that there's a peak in cases during and after the monsoon season.
During and after the monsoon season, okay.
This is important for public health planning.
Right.
This seasonal pattern is probably because people and animals are more exposed to the bacteria in contaminated soil and water.
During the monsoon season, yeah.
Especially when there's heavy rain and flooding.
Right.
Which can bring the bacteria to the surface and make it spread more easily.
Makes sense.
So melioidosis can show up in different ways.
Okay.
It can be localized skin infections and abscesses, or more severe forms like pneumonia,
wow,
bloodstream infections, which is sepsis, and even neurological problems.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it can be really serious.
It can be. The symptoms vary, but they can include fever pain and swelling skin, ulcers, cough, chest pain, and headache.
Okay.
It can affect anyone, but it's often worse for people with underlying health issues like diabetes.
Right. So people with diabetes need to be extra careful.
They do. The good news is that melioidosis can be treated with antibiotics.
Okay, that's good.
But getting diagnosed early and getting the right treatment is key.
So understanding the seasonal pattern can help with awareness campaigns.
Yes, exactly.
Early detection and preventative measures during those high-risk periods.
That's right.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let's switch gears one more time and talk about the economy.
All right.
And there's been a significant increase in India's foreign exchange reserves.
Yes, a big jump.
What exactly are forex reserves, and why is this increase so noteworthy for the economy?
So foreign exchange reserves, or forex reserves, are essentially assets held by a country's central bank in foreign currencies.
Okay.
In India's case, this is the Reserve Bank of India, or RBI.
The RBI.
These assets mainly include foreign currency assets like government bonds and treasury bills of other countries, sold reserves, special drawing rights, or SDRs,
SDRs, okay.
which are extra foreign exchange assets managed by the IMF, and India's reserve position with the International Monetary Fund.
Got it.
So while the reserves are usually shown in U.S. dollars,
right,
they can be held in different major currencies. And this recent increase of over $15 billion is a big deal.
Wow.
It's the biggest jump in over 2 years.
That's huge.
Having enough forex reserves is super important for a country's economic stability.
Right.
For a few reasons.
Okay.
Firstly, it gives the country the money it needs to finance international trade and investment.
I see.
Secondly, it acts as a safety net against external economic shocks, like sudden capital outflows.
Right.
The RBI can also use these reserves to intervene in the foreign exchange market to manage how much the Indian rupee fluctuates.
Right.
Strong reserves make investors feel confident.
Yeah.
It shows that the country can meet its international financial obligations.
Yeah, they can pay their bills, essentially.
Exactly. And it gives the country more flexibility in managing its exchange rate and overall economic policies.
So while China has the largest foreign exchange reserves globally,
yes, for now,
India's growing reserves show that the country is doing well in managing its economy and external sector.
Absolutely.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, it's positive.
Okay, so lastly, let's talk about the Northeast Center for Technology Application and Reach, or NECTAR.
Okay.
The foundation stone for its permanent campus was recently laid in Shillong.
Yes.
So what's NECTAR's main goal?
So NECTAR is an autonomous society under the Department of Science and Technology in the Indian government.
Okay.
And its headquarters are in Shillong, Meghalaya.
Shillong, Meghalaya. Okay.
It was established in 2012 by merging the National Mission for Bamboo Application and the Mission for Geospatial Applications.
Okay.
And NECTAR's main goal is to use technology, especially technology that's available with central scientific departments and institutions to address the specific developmental needs of the Northeast region of India.
So using tech to help the Northeast develop.
Exactly.
Nice.
Its work covers a lot of crucial areas for the Northeast.
Okay.
Like biodiversity conservation,
okay,
water resource management,
got it,
telemedicine,
right,
promoting horticulture, infrastructure planning and development.
Wow, it really runs the gamut.
It does. It also does project monitoring,
right, and
even innovative educational solutions like teleschooling using advanced networking technologies.
So really trying to bring the Northeast into, the modern age with all this great technology.
Yes, the overall aim is to encourage social and economic development in the region, create jobs, promote the use of local resources and products, and improve skills.
Okay.
NECTAR acts as a facilitator, a solution provider, and a partner for the state governments in the Northeast.
I see.
Especially when it comes to using technology-assisted decision support systems.
Yeah, okay.
Right now, it's operating from a temporary location in Shillong, with branch offices in Delhi and Agartala. But laying the foundation stone for its prominent campus in Shillong is a big step towards making it a stronger institution. And shows its commitment to using science and technology for the sustainable development and progress of the northeastern region.
So, a really important initiative that recognizes the unique challenges and opportunities in the Northeast.
Yes.
And is trying to address them through technological innovation.
It really highlights how focused the government is on using technology to drive regional development and make sure everyone benefits from growth.
That's fantastic. So that brings us to the end of today's deep dive for March 17th, 2025, Part 1.
Okay.
We've talked about a lot.
We have.
Everything from a new CAR T-cell therapy to updates on the Assam rifles.
Right.
The discovery of a new plant species, the upcoming Resina dialogue.
Yeah.
The PMY-UVA scheme for young authors.
Right.
The concerning comeback of TB.
Yes.
Environmental issues in Pobatora and Odisha.
We covered a lot of ground.
We did India's growing forex reserves and nectar's development in Shillong.
It was a good overview.
I hope this detailed breakdown has given you some valuable insights.
Me too.
And a better understanding of these important current affairs.
I think it has.
If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe for more in-depth analysis to help you on your UPSC journey.
Please do.
And while you're thinking about all this, consider how these seemingly unconnected events might actually be related.
That's a good point.
And what bigger implications they have for India and the world.
Absolutely.
What questions do these topics raise for you?
Yes, what are you curious about?
We encourage you to explore the areas that you found most interesting.
Dig a little deeper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, until next time.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.